Please go to the diary room.
Every single season and learn everything that there is to know about everybody.
Please make your way to the diary room.
Celebrity, Brandon. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Diary Room podcast, the Big Brother podcast, where we're trying to find the best player in North American Big Brother history. We are still in round one, and that's pretty important when I bring in the guest that we have with us today. Before I do so, of course, I am Matt here, as always, with Amon. Amon, what's up?
Oh, you know, here we are once again, torn into pieces. Yeah, that's Kelly Clarkson, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But we're not torn into pieces. We're actually very excited to be back. Very big full circle moment today. And the screaming of "Oh my God" in the intro. The reason that scream happened
has a lot to do with this person. Yeah, our guest today, you may recognize him from a lot of different places across the world of Big Brother. But as far as this podcast is concerned, our first ever guest on this podcast, back when we had no idea what we were doing. We'll talk about it and get into it all. And as Amon mentioned in the intro of this podcast, you see him come up on the wheel as he advanced to round two in episode 2 of this podcast with his significant other as the guest of that podcast. It's been a crazy ride. We're here with Cory Wurtenberger. Cory, how's it going?
It's going great. I love how long this project is taking because I feel like there's such a microscope on the most recent players. You remember all their mistakes, all their little slip-ups, and by the time we get to my round 2 matchup, I'm hoping I'm remembered as like the nerd who flipped the house once, and that's the only detail we remember, so I can cruise to round 3. I will say, my appearance on this podcast is contingent on my participation in the bracket. So
good to know.
I don't want to, screw up your biases, but it's just something to consider.
Sure. For those only listening and not watching, we do have the lower third for Cory. It is that he wrote out himself, Cory, round 2 house guest Wurtenberger. So he means that. Anyway, I mean, Cory, you literally were you were our first guest again, if anybody missed that. But the second episode of this podcast, I mean, it's still, we get people that come on that are like, wait, that's not real, right? Like America was here and got Cory's name on that big wheel. Like the amount of names that it's just crazy. That was the beginning of the rigging allegations that haven't stopped since, but what's meant to be happens, and you're in round 2.
Yeah, just barely. I mean, I'm glad America drew my name. What a dramatic moment. But I will say, when I'm listening to the podcast and America's like weighing the pros and cons, I'm like, America, I'm not asking for objectivity from you. Jesus.
Look, Nick Uhas, you got to think about it.
Yeah, I guess so.
I'm on. What were we doing episode 1?
Oh, we had done a lot of homework heading into the first episode. We had pulled so many timestamps for interviews to really flesh out as much info as we could for all of the people that we were about to pull. This was a whole production that we had planned. And then, ultimately, as you go on and you start to understand what it is that your product is, you kind of trim the fat a bit. So I feel like we have come such a long way since the beginning of the podcast. And even with the way that we presented and the way that we're talking about a lot of these house guests, it's been interesting. I feel like our metrics for what makes a great Big Brother player have been so all over the place, but I think that is very reflective of how Big Brother is. It's often all over the place. So to be here all the way with all these episodes sandwiched in between Cory's first and now current appearance, it's quite a lot to think about how far we've come, for sure.
And Cory, this might mean more to you now because in the time since you came on the first time, you have begun a Glee rewatch on your Patreon with America. Again, this podcast, if anybody missed all of this, was taken from a Glee podcast that is doing the exact same project, taking every song on Glee and whittling it down to try to find the best song on Glee. Go check out Gleek of the Week if you haven't already. But so from the beginning, we were like, oh, well, the way that Gleek of the Week does it is you listen to the song, you watch the performance all together, and then you talk about which one was better. So we were like, well, what are we going to watch? What are we going to listen to determine who is better? unfortunately for Cory, he was here for, I guess, as our guinea pig in the test episode. We realized as time went on, we didn't need to rewatch the exit interviews with Julie, with Arissa to really get the information. We kind of just had to have the information in our brain. And look, luckily, Cory's somebody who has a lot of the information in his brain. So we probably would have been fine right off the bat anyway, but it is what it is. We did what we did.
Yeah, it is pretty funny. I feel like Julie Chen interviews often misinform the viewer about that player and their potential game and what led to their demise. So I think this more stripped back approach might lead to better outcomes.
Just a bit. Do you remember all three of the matchups by any chance from?
Okay, I remember Haley and Danny was the front runner.
The first
that
one
was
ever.
The headliner.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a banger.
We had Danielle from BBOTT was being ranked at some point, and now I'm starting to struggle. Who else was in the mix?
The middle one I thought you might get just as easily as Danny versus Haley. It was Mark from BB19.
Oh yeah, no, Mark and Yvette.
Yeah.
That was. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
I'll stand by that one. I think that matchup alone, was a bit of a strike to the credibility of the diary room, but I think it encapsulates what is a vibes-based ranking, which I think is the purest way to rank Big Brother players.
Yeah. Mark went through on that one, and then yes, it was Danielle Licky in the third matchup that went through over Big Brother 19's Jillian Parker.
Yeah,
and that's how we opened the show. But since then, again, Cory has gone through to the next round, as has America. And Cory, you were asking before the show for an update on your fellow cast members. Are you ready for the download here?
Yeah, let's hear it.
You want the not going through, or
just give me the name and let me guess.
Oh, that's fine.
Then you can...
Okay.
Luke.
I'm trying to think if there's a matchup he could win.
Do you forget that he's a cast member on your season?
No, because I think he lives somewhere close.
Oh.
So I was at my eye out.
Yeah. No. Luke did not go through.
On top of being a bad person, one of the worst players.
Yeah.
He's bad.
Yeah. Kirsten?
There's matchups she could win, but I have to imagine no.
Lost to Paul, Abrahamian.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Kirsten's jury management might have been better, but beyond that.
Yeah. Riley?
I hope not. I love Riley, but God, no.
Nope, lost to James Hewling. Heisem?
No.
Heisem beat Lisa from Big Brother 26.
I think I disagree. I don't know. They're both
way you disagree
pretty
with
rough.
that.
With Lisa?
I think Lisa will make it further on more seasons, but Heisem being good at comps gives him a path to winning that I think Lisa never has. But like Heisem's always going to self-destruct. Lisa could just be like a house guest in there, She was like the house guest that needed to go for the first 2 weeks. She was like, not even freaking Angela would stick near her. Obviously, that was the whole situation. Well, look, at the end of the day, these are wonderful people in real life. The bottom dwellers in the Big Brother bracket community.
Red.
Can't imagine.
No, lost to Shayna Mokler from Celebrity Big Brother. Izzy.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Izzy beat Big Brother 24, Kyle.
Ooh, that's... I mean, look, I would obviously vote for Izzy there, but I think that's actually a pretty interesting conversation.
Yeah, we definitely... We thought a lot back and forth because Kyle's claim to fame is, him flipping everything during the split house week. So we thought about it, but ultimately decided with Izzy.
Yeah, not at the sake of Izzy. So sorry to anybody who would want to vote Kyle through there, but not happening here. So yeah, Izzy went through. Jared.
I'm going to guess no.
Did not go through. Lost to Jordan Lloyd. So that was tough. Mimi.
I would think. Here's the thing: like you have to keep in mind, most Big Brother players are so bad, and Mimi's like totally competent. So I'd guess she goes through.
She won a battle back vote, but she did not go through initially. She was up against Big Brother 26, Mackenzie.
Mm-hmm.
I just think like I would trust Mimi so much more in any given season, but there's just no resume there. So it's like that's not based on anything,
Would it be more interesting if going forward, I just give you the full matchup of?
Do it.
All right. So Cameron was up against. This is actually a really interesting one. Cameron was up against Caitlin Herman.
I think Cameron has to be better just because of comps.
Caitlin went through. I
Look,
think I
I'm
voted for
down,
Cameron,
but-
so I think I agreed with you there. But it was definitely a split vote. We talked about Cory. You went through, of course, against Nick. Blue was up against Travis from BB23.
I'd bet on Travis, but I think Blue's fine. I think she probably gets through there.
Blue went through. America, I think went through over Angela from BB20. Angela ultimately got voted back in. Suri was up against a Big Brother Canada player that you may not have watched, season 12, Vivek. But
Yeah, no, infamous HOH. So I do think Suri has the edge there.
Felicia was up against Amira.
Honestly, I think it's probably Amira, but I bet y'all pick Felicia.
I think, well, you are correct. We picked Felicia, but I think you might be right looking back.
Yeah, like I love Felicia. Get her back on, but
Aman, any regrets?
No, I don't think so because, I think Amira did a good job of, setting up a side, but there was like no upkeep there. And, she was just so utterly blindsided by what was going on in the house that, like, at least with Felicia, was she the best strategy wise? But no, but I think that she is just much more aware of what's going on around her than Amira was.
I mean,
I just think I've become very anti-placements when it comes to rankings, which is annoying because it's one of the only things we have to rank people based on.
I love that.
But like I just think Felicia at so many different points in the season was saved against her own will, where it's like Amira will never be in that position because like there's a real reason to evict Amira at every point she's on the block. So it's like players like Felicia, Bowie Jane, Cam Sullivan Brown, like these players who seem very good socially and tactful and like they make it pretty far into the game, I think often get a little bit more credit than I don't want to say they deserve. They're all good people and good players, but like because like we saw them do more when in reality like they're always going to get to that same stage of the game by virtue of like who they are. You know what I mean?
How would you have voted Cam Sullivan Brown versus Shelly from BB17?
That's really close. I think
this is like fun to have you here because you do a lot of this on your Twitch channel of just like ranking a random assortment of players. So I feel like I've heard your takes on some of these people before, but like not in these matchups.
I feel like I do think Cam is pretty wildly overrated because I just think like that archetype, it feels like they have a ton of win equity, and then we find out after the fact they had none. But Shelly did not have a command over anything. I think Cam probably edges it out for me.
Shelly won.
That's a toss up. I'm fine.
Yeah. All right. Well, then the final three here, of course. Bowie Jane was up against Big Brother Canada 11 winner, and also spoiler alert incoming for the Traders Canada first boot tie.
It's a rough matchup for Bowie. She could have beaten a lot of people.
Yeah. And then Matt was up against Paloma.
Look, you could argue Matt's overrated. He's not that overrated.
And Jag was up against Big Brother 20's robot Sam Bledsoe.
I think Jag's underrated, which isn't saying much. He's rated very lowly, but I do think he could make a run if he gets the right matchups.
So yeah, when all said and done, it's everybody that is from you going out of the game through Jag is in round 2, except for Bowie Jane, plus some pre-jury players in Izzy and Heisem. So not the worst showing for BB25 going into round 2.
Yeah, we got a crew. I mean, really, it's going to be how far can Suri take us, I think, especially with Amon on the panel. So crossing our fingers. Come on, Suri.
I mean, look, if we want you to come back, I guess you have to be up there as well. At least
at the end of the day,
you and Suri.
The me and Suri matchup, Matt breaks the tie. I know it won't go in my favor. Maybe just save the invite.
Well, 25, obviously completely done with the wheel. I feel like there's a good chance we finish out some more seasons very soon. there's like 6 or 7 seasons at this point, Amon, that have only one player left.
Yeah.
Keeps happening. We keep
We're
taking the
getting
remaining.
down. We are very, very close. Closer than I thought. I really thought that we had at least maybe 4 more months of this, but
Still might be ish.
we're close to the end for sure. So.
And Cory, actually, let me just in case that all wasn't boring enough for anybody to just listen to us play the guessing game. Just Big Brother 27 just wrapped up, of course. You were watching it all summer, podcasting about it, talking about it on Twitch. Let me give you the matchups that we've had so far as they've entered the wheel. Zay versus Rachel Riley.
Well, we saw that one.
Amy was up against Big Brother 16's Amber Borzotra.
Okay, wait. Do you take into account other shows, or is it just Big Brother?
It's hard not to sometimes, but we try to focus on Big Brother. But it's hard to say it's just Big Brother.
Either way, it's Amber. So
right. We had Jimmy versus Jeff Schroeder.
Yeah, Jeff's just one of those people who got close to winning twice. It's kind of like, what are you gonna do?
Amon, do you know which way you voted? That wasn't a all-in vote.
Oh my god, I can't remember. We just did it too, and I cannot remember.
When Jimmy got a vote against. Look, I'm not a big.
Oh no,
Jeff
Amon was
guy.
the Jimmy vote.
That's. Is this just a anti-Jeff thing? Because I'm down.
It's a bit of an anti-Jeff thing, and it's also like I think that we overestimate a lot of what Jeff was able to accomplish in the house. Like, he really wasn't well liked by his housemates, like, at all. He was liked by America, and they gave him a twist for it. But like, he was a very abrasive person in that house. He was in arguments all the time.
Jimmy was playing a perfect game.
He wasn't playing a perfect game by any means, but like, I just could not, I couldn't give it to the guy that was anti-Dumbledore over the gay guy sitting right there. I just wasn't going to do it. I wasn't going to do it.
It was a hate crime happening on the podcast. Jimmy versus Big Jeff.
If you really think about it, Jeff's Harry Potter takes, look, obviously homophobic and terrible, but as J.K. Rowling's stock like diminishes, maybe Jeff was just critiquing her. You know what I mean? And maybe I can get on board with that. But
what a world. So Jimmy loses that matchup. A very fun one that we had in an episode with Taryn recently. Catherine versus Chicken George.
I mean, this is one of those where it's just Catherine, unfortunately, I think. But, did you guys go George?
Yeah. It was about to be Catherine. Taryn changed his vote at the last second.
There's not much to prop up Catherine, but...
I mean, like, Felicia, Chicken George, like some of these characters that we've talked about in a couple matchups so far, it's like Bowie Jane, unfortunately, was not on the lucky end of one of these. It's like... I don't know, Amon, like how far we go with character-based like heart picks, but I imagine that some of them are going to continue on until at least round 3. It's hard to not.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for it. Like, I think that there are just some characters of Big Brother that deserve to be there because of what they have given to the show. It's just the show would be unwatchable if we were strictly looking just at people that are considered good at the game. You need people that give the show other things to talk about and just color in the tapestry. And so, if some of them make it through because of vibes over plot, I'm fine with that. Now, obviously, there are going to be some times where it's like, okay, let's reel it in.
We'll be serious.
If you don't have to reel it in, then I'm not going to reel it in. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I hope everyone knows what they're signing up for when they click play on this podcast. 2 very often biased hosts that are just trying to have some fun Big Brother discussion along the way.
And it's probably going to end in the way that some people would probably predict anyway. So, like, if we're going to have fun along the way, we're going to have fun along the way. Okay.
I would love to hear the Diary Room podcast. Well, maybe don't do the podcast because then I'll be mad at you, but like do your own bracket, but like strictly like focus on the better player every step of the way. Don't do whatever your own criteria is, just pick the better player regardless.
I feel like would do that 99% or
95.
maybe 89.
Well, I have a question. How do you all weigh this? Because I feel like this is something I struggle with when ranking players. Is like, I think Cody's just the best player of all time in the new era, with competitions being what they are.
Mhm.
And Dan's a good competitor, so it doesn't like hold him back that much. But like, I know your answer is going to be it's a rich tapestry. We consider all of it and none of it, and like it's you figure it out. But like,
Mm-hmm.
I just think for me that's why someone like Cameron is ranked above people like Jillian and Amy, who seem like much more amicable people, because he's just like this is a path to winning.
Yeah.
That
comps,
that path didn't exist 15 seasons ago or 10
Mhm.
seasons ago.
Well, the ideal Big Brother world is not where the competitions are such a way. I mean, obviously, New Era has kind of evened itself out, where it's like for a brief period of time we were like, oh, they are more equitable, and now it's like, maybe not. They keep bouncing back and forth, so it's hard to say what they're going to land on permanently.
Yeah.
But I think what we do ultimately come down to is strategy and social over comps when really
Okay.
weighing it.
Yeah.
I
I
think the
think-
problem is people always talk about equitable comps, which I think is like obviously that's what we all want, but
Yeah.
there's like very few comps you can design that like X person can beat Cameron in,
Yeah.
or Jag in, or Morgan in. Like, it's some people are just better at these
Yeah.
things. You know what I mean? So like that's why the same
And
person wins the
that's-
final 5 vetoes of every season.
And that literally is life. I mean, we love using that macrocosm word around here, and I'm like, look, that's what life is. Like you're going to be people that are better at you or worse than you at a lot of different things. Like, yes, we can want things to be more equitable, but oftentimes it's just not. You can't make it shake that way. And I feel like, yeah, I mean, as far as this podcast is concerned, I think, yeah, we sort of just. We try to do the thing where we compare, where we're like, okay, well, if this person was playing back then, how would they fare? And if this person was playing in the future, how would they fare? And kind of try to come to a middle conclusion about how that works out.
Yeah.
But I think overall, the undercurrent is definitely how were they liked in the house? How did they come off to everybody else in their season? Can they win in the end? Can they get the votes? And I think that's largely what we try to remember and focus on.
And sometimes
Some people-
how shitty of a person are they? That's weighed into
Yes.
decisions at
Yes.
times with the Big Brother history of people that have jumped into this house. But last two just from 27, so we can close this properly. I'm just telling you that Morgan beat Amanda from Big Brother 9 because that was a slam dunk. And then one that wasn't as much of a slam dunk, we spent a good amount of time on this conversation, was Vince.
Yeah.
Came up. Cory, Vince, by the way, came up on Taryn's episode.
Classic.
Um,
The rigged allegations have never been stronger.
like the most what the hell since Cory coming up on America's episode. And he was up against Howie Gordon.
I don't think that's close. That's
Wait,
disrespectful to Vince.
Can I pause and say, have you met Howie? I feel like you've met Howie.
Yeah, I love Howie. He was like the responsible person on the cruise, which is crazy to think because it's Howie. But he was like not drinking, hanging out, being super nice to everyone. Howie's awesome.
That's not super close. So you're saying that
Vince is so much better than Howie.
okay.
That's like I think this is one of those moments where we remember all the day-to-day terrible things that Vince did and
Mhm.
do not have any idea the day-to-day terrible things that Howie did.
Yeah.
But
That's
and Vince
what
is better
came
at
up.
comps, and I don't know. So was it a split vote or was it unanimous at the end?
Who voted first? I think Taryn voted first and voted for Howie.
Mhm.
Amon voted second, I think, and voted for Vince, and then I had to break the tie. I swear, I was leaning Howie, because in the same reason why Taryn ultimately did vote for Howie. Look, we just spent the entire summer watching Vince make mistake after mistake after mistake, and it does take some time to kind of zoom out a little bit and see like the overall body of work. And we've had, I think Eric was talking about it when we talked to Eric an episode later, just about like the overall body of work. He still had people doing kind of just wrapped around him. The season was about him at the end of the day, and a lot of the gameplay was centered around him, even if he wasn't doing his best. So I agree that overall that's the correct decision, but it wasn't as easy in the moment.
Yeah, I can see that. I just think ultimately I think some players get graded on a curve like Vince because he should be so much better. You know what I mean? Whereas like
exactly.
other players, you say, wow, look at what they're doing when like they have no agency and no ability to affect decisions. And the reason why Vince is so frustrating is like he should have won the season. Like he had every tool at his disposal and then some, and he like managed a way to lose. And even still, Howie probably has the worst HOH of the two of them. So anyway, we don't have to, you know.
Again, that was
do
the
all that.
conversation though that we were having, because we were like, well, Howie had one bad HOH week. Vince had a lot of bad weeks where decisions were made that were not optimal for him. So we don't have to go back, I guess. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe Howie's been voted back in at this point. We're recording out of schedule as normal. But shall we get to our first wheel spin of the day? Are we all ready?
Oh my God.
Let's do it.
Not to scare you, Cory, but there are still a large amount of legendary names on this wheel. I don't know if that scares you at all, but
I keep saying we're
staring
getting
at Riley.
They're all gonna pop up on one episode, and maybe this will be the one.
I think it could be. Of course, we've got a little bit of a mix here, some OTTs, some Canadians in here. Cory's been rewatching Big Brother Canada 5 after BB Can 10 rewatch, so those are pretty top of mind. So I would love to get some of those players in here, but without further ado,
Let's do it. Oh my God.
no pressure.
Woo! Oh, that was so fast.
It's still on the settings from a loser's bracket we did recently, so I'll adjust that. But anyway, we'll start with Keanu. Why not?
Jesus.
Interesting player.
Let's start with Keanu. We are just knocking out the endgame players with Morgan and Vince. Keanu now.
Yeah, I mean, no notes for him yet because it is the most current season. So nothing from the Wikia, but I think that we kind of all
We were there. We saw it.
Yeah.
Well,
What's going on with
Let
him?
me just turn to you, Cory, first. We were just talking about the comps. I mean, how much is that going to raise Keanu's chances of going through here, sight unseen of his opponent?
The thing that I love about Keanu in comparison to other players in his archetype, and what I mean is the underdog fan favorite who's really bad socially and strategically, but you're rooting for him kind of guy, he was trying to play the Big Brother game socially and strategically. Like the entire time, he was not trying to rely on comps. He was talking about throwing comps a lot of the time. Like I always appreciated Keanu's like the way he viewed the game. I think it aligns with how a lot of us view the game. The problem is like he just is extremely stubborn as a strategist, and like he had his relationships, and like there was nothing that Rachel could tell him. There's nothing that anyone else could tell him to shake him of his like view that he had on day 1 or 2. If y'all watch the Keanu deep dive he did with Tara, and it's like his response to every single question is like, yeah, I thought Vince and Riley were my boys. And if you consider that, all of a sudden his decisions start to make a little bit of sense. But I think Keanu, in a weird way, was rough strategically, but I actually think he's probably better than the public consensus would view his game. If that makes sense.
Certainly, public enjoyed him. One America's favorite. The public absolutely in love with him in a general sense. But I mean, how frustrating was it to be watching every single day as literally anybody in the house tried to get a positively thought through plan into this man's head, and it was just ripped apart in seconds. It was never processed in a sensible way. Aman, as somebody, you weren't even watching the season super closely, but I'm sure you were aware of just how much all of us watching the feeds were clowning on this guy for his strategic gameplay. It was just non-existent.
Yeah, I mean, I got a chance to watch a few things with him on the feeds. I remember watching the specific conversation between him and Rachel is trying to tell him like, look, like this is why we have to get these people out of here. They're coming for you. They said your name. Like, let's go. And Keanu just, it was his way or the highway. It was always, no, you don't quite understand why the game is set up the way that it is. And I'm like, you are talking to Rachel Riley. And is Rachel Riley known as the bastion of Big Brother strategy? No, but like she has won the game before and she's played it twice. This is now her 3rd time. She hasn't been on the block yet. And you are lecturing her on why she doesn't understand how relationships in the game work and how things often change quickly and how people can often say one thing to your face and not mean it. So it was just like, damn, is this how he's been this entire time? Because how did he make it this far? But you know, he definitely played hard, and that's more than can be said than some of the other people in his season. So
The baseball card would have effort at a 10.
oh yeah,
But
Well,
everything else, I mean, Cory, the week that stands out the most to me is the Riley week, when they're all trying to convince him, Keanu, this is not your guy. We're all watching the whole season up until that point. Never was Riley Keanu's guy, but Keanu decided that Riley was his guy. So that week is frustrating. Every single week was so frustrating. And of course, we already had Rachel come up and go through the fact that we never got the conclusion of the Rachel Keanu story. I don't need to say it. We all know it, but that sucks as well. So a huge part of the season. And, again, if we're talking about characters having a big impact, Keanu's going to have that going for him here, but a lot of frustration along the way for those of us looking for good gameplay, I guess, this season, Cory.
yeah, and look, I think there's a lot to prop Keanu up on. There's more than enough to, demerit his game, but like he really wasn't relying on the blockbuster in the same way someone like Kelly was. He won a critical blockbuster against Vince and Zach. If he loses that, he's gone pre-jury, and that's the end of Keanu. But outside of that, he was winning vetoes, so like I don't hold that against him as much. It's like a staple of the game. Okay. Then he has this like stretch in the middle of the season where he avoids the block for like 3 or 4 weeks with a Rachel HOH, a Vince HOH, then he's HOH, and he does totally fine on his HOH, which I always think is like a good way to evaluate players. We get to see them like binary, make a decision, is it good or bad? And I think he did a fine job. He ends up putting Vince on the block when we all thought he was, had these rose-tinted glasses towards him, which he did. But and then he gets towards the end game, survives a vote at the final 6 somehow, even though I think most of us agreed it made no sense for them to keep Keanu. So, like, I don't want to overstate all the great social maneuvering Keanu did, but I do think he has, like, things in the game that I would say, you know what, Keanu, you did a good job there, and I can't say the same for most people in this archetype.
Yeah, it's the fight that he was willing to fight. I mean, he wanted to play the game. He wanted to be there. Of course, we know he wants to go on the challenge, and I don't see that being a problem for him getting there. He's going to be someone, I think, who enjoys this reality TV competition arena for as long as, I guess, they're willing to have him or he's willing to be there. You just really got to hope whatever the next show is, that he learned a lot from this experience about not even just like listening to other people, just be aware that whatever read you have is not guaranteed to be the correct read on the situation. Because more often than not, maybe 90% of the time for him, it was not. And he operated off of the fact that it had to be. It's just like, even all the way to Final 5, you have him and Ashley going at it because Ashley's just laughing in his face. Like, what do you mean this and this and that? And he's like, no, I'm serious. What do you mean? What do I mean?
Yeah, and Ashley was definitely good for that, telling you to your face, yeah, your game isn't what you think it is.
Then she'd laugh.
But I don't know. I think he could win a matchup. I think he could lose a lot of matchups here.
I think that he's sort of like the lovable oaf, right? So I think for all of the things that, you bang your head against the wall for him, I think you're more inclined to still want to work with him because you know that he means well and you know that he believes truly in what he is saying. So I think that can be a little disarming for people when talking to him, is that it's like, yeah, you are so fucking wrong, but we're gonna work with you. We're gonna try to make this work. And I think that's like almost every conversation that he had, unless he could beat you into submission or you let him think that he's doing that with you. I think that that's not a great place to be, like, strategically, because you're always wrong, but you're at least kept around because you're not the threat that you should be, if that makes sense.
Cory, by any chance off the top of your head, do you remember where you had Keanu in your BB27 player rankings?
I promise I was just thinking about that. I think he was like 6th or 7th, which is more of a
Wow.
testament to the season than anything else. But give me names you're confident are better than him, Matt, because outside of the big 3, Vince, after that, it gets pretty tough. All right, I got it right here. So let's see.
The big 3 being Rachel, Morgan, and Vince. I'm going to put Ashley in there as a 4.
I did Rachel, Morgan, Ashley, Vince.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, sure.
and then I put Lauren 5th. But like Keanu versus Lauren, I think is a conversation, and then
No,
I have
I would go
Keanu
Lauren.
and then Will. So
It's
Keanu's
tough.
6th.
It's tough for Lauren because she didn't want to talk to anybody, but if she did want to talk to anybody, she would be pretty damn good in the house with just her patience and calmness and all that kind of stuff. But 6th, that's wild.
Well, can I give you the names above him? And obviously, we're not going to do all these matchups, but like, are there names that like jump out to you that's crazy? You think Keanu's better? Like Amy, Kelly, Adrian,
No.
Riley, Zay.
Adrian. I have no
Adrian
idea.
was the idea of Adrian.
The idea of
I
it
guess.
better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Riley, Zay, Zach, worst move in Big Brother history, Mickey, Jimmy. Like I really think you could argue Ava and Will maybe, but I prefer the active players.
Will for sure, I think is better. Ava is tough, but probably better. I think Zach ultimately is better. I mean, that's another thing that comes up on this podcast of people that just made one big stupid decision and like how much do you it's a crucial decision. You had the option to stay in the game. But people have also made crazy stupid decisions before and they've worked out in their favor, so it's tough. I think
Right.
I'd go Zach
Yeah.
over Keanu, but
My pitch about Zach was like he seemed to have a good social position and strategic mind, and at every single possible juncture where he could make a decision, he made the wrong one.
Yeah.
Where it's like, not going to save Adrian, not going to do anything with his HOH, Lauren's HOH. He has no input, even though they're theoretically a tight bond. Then he has this power, doesn't do anything with it. It's like,
but that also
I
describes
think-
Vince. Made
but,
every
like, I think-
wrong decision.
what are the good things that Zach did? Like I can name good things that Vince did, good things that Keanu did. Zach is just like he's really well positioned, and I'm like, what does that even mean when he goes out pre-jury? Like he clearly wasn't that well positioned.
The good thing Zach did was being born handsome
That's a good point. Yeah, no, honestly, that should raise him above.
at the end of the
people.
day.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's see who Keanu's going to be matched up against here. Amon, don't worry. The wheel is back to its full length of spin time. But
It's much more tense.
let's see. We're going to have Keanu matched up here against.
Ooh.
Oh, well,
Are we kidding right now?
cool.
Okay,
Big Brother 27, Riley Jeffries.
Okay.
he's one of the
Well,
weirdest
did
players to
we-
evaluate.
Did we spoil that considering we just went through Cory's rankings or maybe is that spoiled on its own just by watching Big Brother 27? I don't know. Whatever. Riley.
Do you think he knows how the veto works yet?
Do you think him and Catherine are still together when this podcast comes out?
Yeah, double date.
Fortunately,
It's gonna be
yes.
so cute.
Oh man.
Well, the player himself is not a very fun topic of conversation. But if nothing else, the week of his eviction, we will always have, always and forever. And I say we, but Amon, you weren't all the way there. And I hope that somehow going back, you can find it to feel what we all felt watching this
Why
week
would
go
you wish
down.
that for me?
No, because the excitement of him getting evicted is what I'm wishing.
Oh.
When Vince and Ava went in to cast those votes to evict Riley and he was gone by a 5-4 vote, they don't make Big Brother like that anymore.
Yeah.
It was a big day.
I mean, yeah, I mean, this one's kind of tough because I feel like so much of his game, at least what we saw, at least what I've seen, is just surrounded a lot by his relationship with old girl. What's her name?
Catherine.
And it seemed to be like, I'll say, quote unquote, his truest self with her. And then everyone else, there was like this veneer of sociability, I
Good old
guess.
Southern boy. Yeah.
And so I can only imagine just like how grating that would have eventually been when more and more people are gone from the house. So I really don't know how to talk about this person.
I mean, he probably doesn't know how to talk about his own game, considering he didn't want to play it. He showed up in the first couple of weeks. He's just sitting there, not wanting to win, not wanting to make moves, not wanting to use his power until he wins power, and then all of a sudden, then he wanted to make a move, and is of course going to get super pissed off at Mickey for taking his power. But at the end of the day, I mean, Cory, this isn't a person who played actively, but we were all still worried for a good amount of time that he was going to win.
Oh, he could have. I mean, it was
Mhm.
totally. I think ultimately, when you are willing to sacrifice your game for somebody else, you're gonna find a way to lose, no matter what, even if things break your way. But I think Riley, I have a comp for him, which this is gonna sound horribly insulting to the other player, who I think seems like a wonderful person and is a better player. He was giving T-Core a little bit in the sense of like he had this social aura where he had so many people who loved him and were like doing crazy things out of their own self-interest to protect them, and me as a feeder could not understand why. Because like T-Core seemed like very likable and whatnot, but she wasn't like engaging in active social work building these bonds, and Riley was doing even less of that. But they just had minions and numbers, and I'm like, is this a T-Core steamroll? Is this a Riley
Mhm.
steamroll? And they both kind of just get like well, no, Riley was pretty ceremoniously evicted, but they just like get knocked out in the middle game. So like Riley has basically like positioning to prop him up of like he was really sitting pretty with a lot of allies, and it was a crazy sequence of events that led to his eviction, but I give him zero credit for any of that. So like he could beat some people in round one, but
Mhm.
I don't think Keanu's one of them.
He was the one that wanted, right, Lauren to use the veto, or he didn't want her to, but he like encouraged her to, even though
Yeah.
Catherine was like, this might not be a good idea. And Riley was like, if you want to use the veto on Vince, use the veto on Vince, whatever.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was the perfect storm, and I mean perfect in the sense of like we all got so lucky that we didn't have to deal with him with the
Yeah.
situation for the rest of the season. It wasn't, of course, it wasn't just like, oh, he's annoying in the house. Like he's an actively bad person, and we saw him treating Catherine actively poorly. And whatever is going on between the two of them at this point is, out of our hands and none of our business. But in the house, what we were watching, and especially the way that it was being shown on the episode so differently, it was just like completely ruining the season and the experience of watching Big Brother for the summer, knowing that he was going to go far. Everything was just bad. So when you have that person all of a sudden is on the block, and all of a sudden the exact 5 votes that you need evict him, it's just, again, they don't make Big Brother like that anymore, but they do because of Rachel Riley. So we all thank her. The player himself was just nothing.
Yeah.
Could have gone far and done well, not because he wanted to, just because.
I mean, like Cory said, I mean, everyone in the house, you know, he was connected pretty well. So like if we're going to give him, the positives about his game, I think, to some degree you do have to be liked and you have to have a decent social game, and I think that it was fine. I don't think that some of the I mean, I don't know, it's kind of hard to say. I don't think he deserved all of the connections that he did have, because in some way he cultivated them in some way, form, or fashion. It's just that the one that we saw the most of was the worst one, and we saw some of the worst things about him in that relationship. So I don't know. I mean, even Rachel really wasn't trying to put him up on the block. She was like, if you do this, though, if you use this veto, then his ass is going up. So it's like all these things had to happen to get him out. But he was very well connected, and he probably would have made it to the end. So it's like,
I think the like most exemplifying moment perhaps of his whole game is he's in that original heavy hitters group with Jimmy and with Rachel, with Vince and Zach and Morgan. Looks like this is the group that's running the house.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets removed. I've never seen someone get kicked out of an alliance because he just wouldn't engage. His social work,
Yeah.
or just being himself, I guess, got him in. Then he did nothing, got kicked out, was replaced by Mickey, I believe.
mhm.
And then like nothing ever came of it because Riley didn't engage in strategic talks. I think the best move he made, he gets his HOH stolen because he's insane and thinks it's Ashley, even though everyone knows it's Mickey.
So
And then
stupid.
yells at her, and then somehow gets back in to the point where Mickey is obsessed with Riley for the rest of
Well,
his
because she's
time in the
also so
house.
stupid.
Exactly. So like, he's an enigma, and he's not gonna get through round one.
No. But look at Keanu making it through round one.
Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and give my vote to Keanu.
Me too.
Cory?
Happily.
Keanu.
All right, 3-0 for Keanu. I'll get unblurry in a second, but that's crazy. I'm watching Keanu on the season, and I'm just like, wow, so frustrating. But at least he's not going to make it to round 2. Little did I know.
Round 3's calling. Will he?
That's crazy. All right, well, let's get the wheel back up and get into our second matchup of the day today.
Right.
It would be nice to go somewhere outside of Big Brother 27, but hey, if we want to just stick on this season the whole time, I guess we could just knock most of them out along the way. Who's up next today? Here with Cory.
Will I have to use the wiki?
Charlotte B.
Ooh.
Fun.
I'm not upset that this name came up. It's Chima, but it was about to be a Big Brother Canada 10 player, and I'm kind of hoping for that to come up at some point with Cory, but that's okay. This is a really fun one. Obviously not the most fun time when you get to the end of Chima's run, but for everything else in Big Brother 11, we have a lot to talk about. Amon, do we have notes on Chima?
Yes, we do. All right, Chima was best. These notes are not enough, but it's fine. Chima was best remembered for her blow up after Jeff used the coup d'etat to overthrow her nominations. Chima was expelled from the game after repeatedly disobeying production and breaking her microphone 2 days later, placing 8th. I feel like there's so much more to talk about with her, but that's fine.
Cory, have you ever done a ranking of any sort of like the most screwed players in Big Brother history?
Yeah, I have, and I just put Jesse as like the stand-in for this dynamic. Like ultimately, like I think Chima has somewhat more life in the game even after the coup d'état if she wanted to pursue that. But I thought her decision was pretty funny. But I think everyone on that side of the house is certainly in the mix of those conversations.
Yeah.
I mean, Amon, her season almost ended from the jump. She was on the block next to, what was his name, Braden?
Braden.
And almost gets evicted.
Yeah, and which is crazy considering all the crap that Braden had been saying. The fact that the vote was so close was ridiculous. But, you know, she got up, she made her speech. She even informed Julie about some of the things that Braden had been calling her in the house. And I think that sort of like set the tone for how her game was going to be. She was very, very vocal, was not shy about telling people how she felt about them. And positioned herself well to the point where, you know, she did sort of have like this nice little click going on with Jesse and Lydia and Natalie. But as soon as she loses that power and as soon as she gets screwed by production, she just cannot recover. She just couldn't. I think she had been fighting so hard with so many people up until that point that I think that like this one fight where like she can't really aim it at anyone in particular because it's not a person, it's production. I think that just makes her lose it. She's like, this isn't the game that I signed up for. This isn't fun anymore. Like, I'm done. And like, you know, it sucks to see it happen that way because I agree with you, Cory. I think that there was definitely a way for her to recover from this. Like, the bad guy was Jesse here. Like you still had other connections. You still had ways to get to the end. You weren't even looked at as like the biggest Jesse Pitbull. Like Natalie had that spot. Like you had other ways to continue on, but she just didn't want to. And like, you know, when you're in that mindset, it's kind of hard to talk anybody out of it. So
yeah,
I get it. Like I've been on the bad end of a couple twists, none of them as egregious as this one, and it does feel very disheartening. I just think the part that always confused me about Chima is like, some of these earlier seasons I get disoriented because the casts are a little bit smaller than I remember. Where it's like, she got 8th, like she was kind of like 8th place nowadays is day like 80. Like she's kind of in the end game, and she like removed herself from the end game. She doesn't even need to, you know, become Dan Giesling, do a funeral. She just needs to win like 2 comps. And all of a sudden she's staring at the money. So like, I think the moment of throwing the mic in the pool is awesome. And it's just a great FU to production. And I think it echoes a lot of what the fans wanted. But I think the fans would have preferred Chima to win the season.
yeah.
And I don't think like it bodes well for her as a player that this adversity caused her to quit. Essentially, that's what happened.
Yeah.
It's what a big part of Big Brother history is like the best way to, or the only way that I really can put it. It's something that, like, for me, who starts watching Big Brother season 16, I'm going to go back and I'm going to see everything. And then as soon as I'm watching this, I'm like, wait, I need to know everything that everybody has ever said about this moment, because I'm sure it's huge. And of course, that's correct. You go back and, the way that the conversation was happening from the online fans, from the, the casuals, I guess, in real time. I just am so upset with myself for not having been there. But just like going back, I mean, look, it still lives in infamy. It is someone just fully standing up for the fact that, like, these twists, look, we expect the unexpected all the time, but when your game is just completely flipped on its head in such a way that you are not expecting, like, I mean, Cory, I was going to ask you about, you've been through twists where all of a sudden, you just evicted 2 players and they're right back in your house. It's I guess a little bit different, but it's still like you're playing this game that you think that you're playing to get to a certain point and strategize along the way, and then all of a sudden they throw it right back at you and say, actually, it's this.
Yeah, and I guess in my case, I think there was ultimately comps reigned supreme, but it felt like there was room to maneuver. House guests re-entering the house doesn't feel as brutal as like Jesse just being put on the block. For Jesse's game, it just ended that day. But I think a lot of people have revisionist history about BB11 being like, wow, this was a Jesse, red carpet to the end game. Like, he was winning. Like, he was already kind of on the outs, and he was in a lot of trouble, and it is accelerated it, and he had some people, so maybe they could have comped out, but like, I don't think this was as seismic of a change for Chima's game as maybe Chima thought. She might have overestimated her side. But even still, like, I get the frustration. You just can't do this. But if you're going to do this, do it this way.
Do it this way. give us a little bit of entertainment, even unfortunately at the cost of what it probably took a toll on her. But what a moment.
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, and for it to be Jeff too, I think really pissed her off even more so too, because I mean, not only is this like a minority alliance that is taking complete control of the game through nothing that they've done of their own, but it's also the guy that like was one of the main people that was campaigning for Brayden to stay in week 1 over her. So it's like, damn, like, so this guy that was completely okay with this guy making all types of like homophobic and racist remarks is now in control of a game and completely usurping her power. And just, yeah, I would be furious too if I were her. Like, it's just like, how do you come back from that? Like,
Yeah.
The next 3 HOHs are Michelle, Jordan, Jeff. So it's kind of damn.
Yeah, we know the story for Chima. I gotta say, I would love to see her make it to the next round and just keep the conversation going. But you never know. I'm probably just as 50-50 on this one as I was on Keanu's chances going forward. But let's see.
looks like me and production need to have a little bit of a talk.
Rodner pops up on the wheel.
We're gonna have a competition here between. Oh, come on! Keep going, keep
Are you
going.
fucking serious? Are you fucking serious?
Well, all right.
Shima's up against Kevin Campbell. So what the wheel is telling us is, Cory, you only needed to study so many seasons if you were studied at all coming into this podcast.
Yeah, this is kind of crazy, actually. I need for it to be a double for the next one, too.
All right. Well, at least we have a
I'll just
two-time
say-
player here.
I think Grodner should have ejected Kevin in All Stars too. Just for the gameplay, it was too much there. I don't know.
Is Keanu a better player than Kevin Campbell in BB22?
No.
You
Kevin's
sure?
trying.
Well,
Okay, so if you're just isolating his 22 game,
Yes.
okay.
maybe.
This is he was
I'm
so
just trying to
bad.
emphasize how
Kevin
awful it
wasn't
was.
great socially in BB22.
Remember when he marched up to Cody and said,
Yeah.
like, "I'm not going to vote for you."
But he also wasn't. But he also
Understand.
wasn't wrong. Like, it was a hard space for us to be in watching him, because like he didn't really have the tact, I think, that he needed when talking to people. But he was like, what he was saying was also correct. Like, because he could feel the pressure of like not being in this massive alliance that is controlling the game, and he feels like there's no way in and no way out. And so like, it's just, but that's like a rough position to be in. So.
You got notes on Kevin?
Yeah, we do. In BB11, Kevin was a member of the Offbeat Clique. Kevin was the 10th and final house guest evicted from the season, placing third. Wow, they could have given us a little bit more. In BB22, Kevin found himself as an outsider that was often nominated. In week 8, HOH Cody nominated him and David. Kevin's luck ran out as he was evicted in a unanimous 6-0 vote for being a bigger threat than David and also having short-lived confrontations with Cody and Enzo and a short-lived running feud with Danny. He placed 9th.
I will say we are closing a season here. Big Brother 11. It's been a minute. Joins 18, 24, and 25 as we are done with you in round 1 after this matchup. And in case you care, the final numbers are going to end up being, because one will go through, one will not, that 4 people from this season will have gone through to the next round. 9 will have not.
Sounds about
4. 4 contestants from Big Brother 11 will join us in the next round. But will it be Kevin or will it be Chima? We'll talk about it. Cory, where do you want to start with Kevin?
Let's start with, I guess, BB11, because that's 90% of his ranking. Just quickly to touch on 22. It was very bad. I do have a certain respect for someone who had no shot going in, getting as far as they can, basically on pure desperation and pettiness. Like, week 1 target and goes straight to the HOH, starts begging to be saved, and that was the right play, and gets a veto used on him later in the season. Like, I think Big Brother's a game where if you're on the bottom the whole time, it's impossible to look good at the game. And BB11, it was more fluid, Kevin's position, and we saw him manage it a lot better, and we know 22 with the pre-gaming, so like, yeah. I just view his BB11 game as much more demonstrative of his skill than 22.
Yes.
But look, I'm just looking at the wiki. Like, he wins HOH, puts up Jeff and Jordan, Jeff gets evicted. Perfect. Yeah. It's exactly what you needed to do. He wins 2 vetoes when he needs to, which is not ideal. You know, you'd rather not have to win them, but it's good that he has that tool in his bag. Like, I think he is often put in that, like, he doesn't belong in Vanessa Russo conversations in terms of robbed goddess, what a great player. You know what I mean? But I think he was the best player on his season. He got within a competition of winning the season, and that puts him above 90% of Big Brother players.
Yeah. I think he played a pretty decent game, as good a game as you can play, considering the season. Like I always say on this podcast, BB11 is a very loud and angry season, and he was able to sort of like step placidly amidst the noise and haste, right? Like, he was just able to sort of be above it all, except for that one blow up that he had with Ronnie, but almost everybody got into it with Ronnie, so I can't even fault him too much for that. And yeah, like you said, like he was able to sort of manage the crumbling of his side of the house fairly well. Chima self-evicts, Lydia goes, but you know, there's still Russell there that can be a bit of a shield. He does exactly what he does need to do in terms of getting Jeff out of there. It's just he's not able to clutch that very final win. And if he had clutched that win, he probably wins the season. So, you know, I think, yeah, no one really had a bad thing to say about him, even when he was working with Jesse's side of the house, even though a lot of the people were despised because they were seen as just like lapdogs. He still appeared as like a human being to the other side of the house. So, yeah, I think he clearly has the strongest game. It's just one competition short, for sure.
There's a reason we were waiting so long to have him come back, and by that I mean nobody ever realistically thought that he would come back, but he was on how many wish lists. You know, it was like, well, if we could go back and make a dream cast of who it would be, Kevin would be on it. And then all of a sudden, Amon, you're making faces, he shows up on the 22 cast, and it's like, obviously we know it did not go as we wanted it to be, but just the fact that he was there in the first place felt huge for us.
Yeah, I mean, it was very exciting. You know, he's so underrated, I think, and I don't think that any of us would ever think that he'd be in the conversation seriously for BB22, because so many seasons have passed at that point since his, and there were so many players that were in conversation, and he was not one of them. So to see him was like a very nice, pleasant surprise. And then he gets in there, and it's so bad. Like, and again, like, this is with the preface of like, committee, you know, he's getting stonewalled everywhere that he goes, but like, even when talking with like even the people that he's working with, he's pissing them off. to the point where like they don't even want to talk game with him anymore. It's like I remember a conversation with him, Bailey, and Davon, and he is just ranting and raving about like how Tyler is like this perfect mastermind player to the point where both like I'm like, do you realize you're talking to Bailey? Like, I don't think you want to speak like this. And they both get up and walk away. They're like, we're done. And even Davon, who comes back to talk to him, you know, is like, one of my favorite moments on the feeds is like he's once again ranting and raving, talking about how Tyler is like near Dan level, and Davon just breaks out in the song, just like, "You are a fan. Get your fan card out and say," like she was just so over it, like, and that's his game, as well as getting into fights with everybody in the committee.
It was bad. 22 was bad. But 11 was good. 11 was really good, and nobody can take that away from him. Like you said, Amon, it was in a sea of, you know, insane personalities and characters, but he, like, you obviously you can't blame him for the fact that he was put into a cast where he was going to be one of the most calm, rational people there, and just executed that to perfection. I mean, it's certainly not the same game that Andy played, but it's similar. Of like, you've got these huge personalities around you, and you know, you can be this calming presence to just kind of guide your way through the game. And obviously, if he ended up winning, I would still have Andy miles ahead of him, but he wouldn't be
Andy
that
at
far
least
behind.
put places on the board. He set himself up for success. Kevin kind of just, you know, just sort of floated amongst the rest of it and winded up in a good spot towards the end, and won competitions to get himself to the end, which is, you know, is still a viable way. It's just not as active as Andy's was, but definitely I agree with you that shades of Andy for sure.
Yeah, I think in general, Kevin was like a reactionary, not in the way people use reactionary in politics, but he like reacted to the game happening around him, and he reacted and adjusted and adapted very well. He's not the type to like form up his side and declare war on the committee. And he does the thing in BB22 that I think is every Big Brother fan's biggest pet peeve. I'm watching Jackie do it on BB Can 5 now, of like
oh no,
being on the bottom and turning on the other people on the bottom. And it's just so annoying to watch, but it happens every season. Like, all these people are not idiots. It is just how the game plays out.
Yep.
And like, I think in a lot of ways that's more frustrating to watch than it is a reflection on how terrible of a player he is.
Jackie was frustrating to watch as well.
Yeah. I didn't watch the feeds, but just even in the episodes, it's like, oh my God.
Yeah. Talk about
Jackie's
players with
exit was
zero
so
win equity.
iconic. I mean, I love Ico, but Jackie being like, guys, just give me 1 week of peace and jury and then get that bitch out. I was like, you know what? Better go off.
All right. Kevin versus Chima. I don't like this, but we have to do it. Cory?
I think Chima played the second best game of the 3 games played, but Kevin played the best one. So Kevin to round 2 for me.
Kevin, I'm on.
Yeah. I mean, but you know, the thing that gives me solace is that even Chima would agree, I think. I think Chima would be like, yeah, send Kevin's ass through. So yeah, Kevin for sure.
Kevin, for you, I will say there is a patron vote on Chima, so I could do something very funny.
Ooh, damn! I should have given Chima my vibes vote. Damn it!
But even if I did something funny, it wouldn't have mattered because yet again, patron votes clashing here. I'm on. Kevin has one too.
Okay, all right.
Kevin out of the Patreon.
So shout out to, let me go back to the right tab, Stera, who had a vote on Chima. Unfortunately, it's not going to work out today, but Jennifer had a vote on Kevin Campbell, and Kevin is going to go through in what officially will be a 4-1 vote with the patron votes included.
That's a Big Brother vote. 4-1.
So there we have it. I'm going to bring the wheel back up, and if I can talk to the wheel for a second, can we have 2 players from 2 different seasons? Would it kill you? The point of the podcast is to compare players that did not finish so clearly in the same season in the way that they did. But it would have been fun to go like Chima.
Though I kind of live for this.
We did put Riley over, Keanu over Riley. It would be fun to flip it, but Anyway, 2 more players to go here with Cory. Final matchup of the day. Who's going to kick us off? And it's going to be, it was almost Will Kirby, but instead,
My expertise.
Yeah.
Big Brother 19 is up. And it's
Okay.
just like in Cory's first episode, we had 2 players from BB19. So we're going to keep that tradition going today. But this time, Cameron Hurd is the name.
What I love about this is like a true litmus test of like, he's a blank slate of a player.
Yeah.
My guess, he would have been totally fine. So, does this next player clear that bar? Because we genuinely have nothing to rank him on.
Nope. I mean, we can rank him on his lap dance and his gyrating ass.
Talk about like we used to go back and find the videos. I guess that would have been a good video to find to remind us all.
I'm pretty sure that made the episode too.
Easy to find.
I think they had to blur it out.
I thought we might be closing out BB19.
That reminds me, Big Brother 19 was like very nasty in the beginning. Like
the beginning.
Very no, not like nasty as in like the people were like mean to each other, but like nasty like as in they were all very, very touchy with one another. They were very flirty, very sexual with one another. Like people were calling it big brazzers because it was just so. It was crazy, and I guess he just kind of.
I was so young watching, and Elena kept flashing the feeds. I was like, Elena, Jesus Christ, like, stop.
They could not keep their clothes on. It was crazy.
Including Cameron, even though he was there for 1 day, but that was how he spent his day. Yeah, are there notes?
Yeah, there was notes. Cameron fell victim to a night 1 eviction after not receiving a friendship bracelet from Paul. Cameron had to fight for his game in the Hit the Road comp. Cameron's apple was poisoned, and he was nominated alongside Christmas and Jillian and evicted in an 8-3-2 vote. He had a chance to come back during the Battleback Showdown during week 4, but did not win the comps needed.
We'll say there's a chance that this could be 19 versus 19 because there is 1 player left from Big Brother 19 in this round, and that's Ramses. So not to spoil what's about to happen next, but
yeah.
Anyway, Cory, you're saying there's not a lot of data. We got a whole episode on Cameron. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's my sympathy to Cameron is like, I think if this is Steve or Ian, they're also at first. I think if it's me, I'm probably at first. Like, this just would happen. The only thing you can do is kiss Paul's ass very effectively, is essentially the only real path to safety here. But like, if I'm Paul, I would love the nerd to go immediately. Are you kidding me? Like, this is a perfect scenario for me. So I think literally the only way to survive this is do better in the competition or like convince Paul that you're like an Izzy and you're a fan and you just want to ride with them the entire game. But I think like Cameron could be the best Big Brother player of all time, or he could be the worst, and we just don't know.
Cory, I thought you were getting Cameron on the beginning of your season.
Yeah,
I thought I was getting
Cameron. We were all very, very concerned.
You got dragged away. Obviously, look, we didn't know you yet. We knew Zach's brother was in the house, and so we see Zach's brother getting dragged away by whatever that was, and said, "Damn, it's over already."
I mean, I recovered by day 3. Cameron didn't get to day 2. Like, but by night 1, a vote between me and Kirsten is like, I'd vote me out. Like, what reason is there to keep me? I don't know. So, yeah, that thought did cross my mind because my nightmare. I knew I wasn't going home because like they would have said as much. I was really worried about some stupid battle back situation.
Yeah.
Which is what Cameron just put in. He lost to Cody, I believe. Like, what do you have to do? I think he beat everyone else.
Yeah, I think they were the final 2 in that. I'm testing my knowledge, or I guess I'm testing all of ours. There hasn't been another night 1 eviction since then, right? Did we end it there? David was night 1? David was night 1.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he was night 1.
But it was camp
I guess
comeback.
it doesn't feel like night 1 because of the camp comeback, but
yeah.
It is night 1. Look, we're making so many changes in the new era of the show. Mm-hmm. If they ever bring it back, they will. I feel like confident that they will.
Yeah, why not? 18 house guests.
Yeah.
I mean, Amy could have been evicted, I guess, right? Was it night 1? They voted on the accomplice.
Yes.
Hmm.
It's a unique circumstance, but
And that would have been pretty iconic for a way for her to go out. And would we have missed all that much? Maybe not.
Yeah.
Let's find an opponent for Cameron. Not a whole lot else to say. So, look, it's one of those classic wheel spins where really good draw for whoever's about to come up. But
I don't know. Most Big Brother players are actively bad. Cameron wasn't.
so, I mean, look, there's a name right there, Scott Weintraub from Big Brother 4. Cameron's winning that one, but that requires the
That's a
wheel to
couple
spin
names.
back on such a specific spot. Let's find out. Last player of the day here with Cory. Who's it going to be?
Ooh.
And we're going to
Oh shit!
no.
Oh,
Okay.
Oh,
all right,
okay.
all right.
We're going to Big Brother 3.
Yeah.
Josh Feinberg. That's the second time in this podcast that Will Kirby flirted, as he does, with the wheel. He's right there.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, today's not going to be the day that we can get all of Cory's takes on the BB Can rewatches, but I guess you got to go to the Patreon.
Yeah.
His favorite hobbies, according to the Big Brother wiki, I guess in his pregame press, is golf, sports, and sex.
I mean,
So,
not bad.
fair.
I like
His favorite
it.
TV
It's not a
show,
sport.
Sports Center. That's an impeachable offense. Sports Center is his favorite TV show.
Long Island legend. This man wore an Islanders jersey in the house. And speaking of Long Island, stole a spot on the show from a fellow Long Islander in Rob Sesternino. But I'm gonna say I'll say for at least for sure for two of us, maybe for all three of us, very thrilled with the way that it all worked out in the end. If Rob ended up on Big Brother, I don't know that any of us are here right now having this conversation at least. So
Yeah. Interesting.
crazy.
All right. Josh. Josh was the founder of the dominant Cartel Alliance. In week 1, he decided that the first target should be Marcellus. However, Marcellus was ultimately saved by Jerry. After the tide of the house turned against Josh, as he had been playing too strongly and his paranoia had been rubbing others the wrong way, in week 2, Josh was nominated as Marcellus's target. However, after he campaigned heavily and Tanya started to fight with others, he barely survived. After this, Josh laid low in the game, but formed deals with other house guests, including longtime enemy Jerry. When former ally Kiara became HOH in week 5, the secret alliance convinced her to turn on Josh and nominate him next to his only ally left, Roddy. After being nominated, Josh contemplated walking from the game as he knew his eviction was certain, but he was convinced to stay and was ultimately evicted by a vote of 5-0, placing 9th.
Yeah, Cory, I don't know if you were born yet, but
I think I was. So BB2, yeah, I was 1.
very good. So you've caught up since then.
No, I do remember in the moment though. I was devastated. It's actually kind of an interesting matchup. In my head, Josh was a bigger nerd than I'm reading all the stuff. It's about sports. I remember him being like the nerd of the cast, which is kind of why he was taking Rob's spot, and we're comparing him to another nerd. I think it's always a very bad sign when you're put up by an ally, put up next to another ally. Think about quitting the game that week. You have a week 1 target that doesn't stick. Like, I'm not going to pretend to know the day-to-day inner workings of Josh's game. Couldn't watch the feeds if I tried. But I don't think... he makes it to 9th place, makes jury. That's week 5 in Big Brother 3. It's not like he makes a deep run. I think this is going to reveal a philosophical difference between myself and you two, where, I'm leaning Cameron is my first instinct, but I'm curious to hear your all thoughts on Josh.
Iconic character points are certainly going to him for all of the obvious reasons, but also this man laying down in the diary room and giving his confessionals that way. Zach Rance only is able to have meltdowns in the diary room because Josh did it first, or maybe people on Big Brother 2 did it first that I'm forgetting, but Josh did it in a really big way. So he gets points for that. I don't know, maybe the theme of this podcast is not exactly Keanu, but just wanted to play, wanted to put a lot of effort in, even though a lot of it went wrong along the way, is my memory, Iman.
Yeah, I remember him being sort of a big character in the beginning of the season. Just, loud and out there. I can definitely understand why him and Rob were sort of both up for the same spot, because it's very reminiscent of the same kind of humor that Rob has. And I think that I think he came across very strong to everybody else in the house, but I don't think it was necessarily like game related. I think that he just was just into the antics and just into the fun part of being in the house and being on TV. I think he was very aware of that, and I think that kind of rubbed some people the wrong way. But I think from what I can remember, a lot of people were like kind of high on him to sort of win the season in the beginning, but he just was a little bit too visible, and the target became just too massive, I think.
He's too unpredictable. Too many people would have had a hard time working with him going forward into the game. I would say he's I think he, especially when he goes out, like you see the emotion that he has going on, because he's like yelling at Kiara and Roddy about like how he would have been so loyal to them. But he doesn't even want to stay in the house if they're not going to believe him, if they're not going to trust him. So, going out that way was, I guess, obviously tough for him, but I couldn't have blamed anybody for not being sure on how to feel about moving forward with Josh in the game, with how unpredictable he is. So yeah, kind of came down to that, at least from where I was sitting. But again, a lot of investment in the game, a lot of investment into the people that he was working with. Definitely not the cleanest, I don't know, social game. I mean, to say the least. He again was when he was yelling at Kiara.
Mm-hmm.
On like in that last week, it was a lot of like vulgar language. I feel like I remember, because he was so upset about the whole situation.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I think there was also like some allegations of like some racism going on with the whole Marcellus thing from jump.
And Jerry was talking about that, and Josh was like taking that as like, you're talking about me.
Yeah. So, I think he was very passionate. But yeah, I think at some point the house just collectively did not trust him, right? And there really wasn't any way for him to be able to recoup that. But I think that he was definitely one of the only people that seemed to want to play the game as soon as they hit the ground running in there.
Yeah.
So,
but Cory, I take your point. Are you still thinking that same way of like, we don't know on Cameron? Is that kind of what you're saying? We don't know for Cameron. We know that Josh got kind of messy.
Yeah, I mean, I think looking at my precedent of the decisions I've made of like, I believe Danielle versus Haley. I believed Haley was a better player. Like, I still do. But I think Danny's resume is what ultimately, like, it was just too much there for me to put Haley over her.
Mm-hmm.
I think with these two, Josh doesn't have that big of a resume either. Obviously, Cameron doesn't have one. I'm just thinking of, like, the nerd archetype. People who fit cleanly into that box. Myself, Steve, Ian. You want to throw Quinn in there. Maybe Scott for BBOTT. Like, they're never that bad. Like, it always looks rough and then works out in some capacity one way or another. Cameron seems to be one of the most extroverted of that archetype from the little that we saw. He seemed very good at competitions as well, which is, really what sets Ian apart, in some ways sets Steve apart from, myself, even Quinn in some ways, where it's like, I do believe if Cameron played, maybe not on BB19, that was a very popular kids, cliquey kind of house, but I think you put on Cameron on most seasons, I have no reason to believe he wouldn't be good, right? Like, I think he would be better than average when it comes to Big Brother players. But he might have quit day 3. I have no idea. So, like, I'm just going to go ahead and say it's just going to be Cameron for me. Because maybe it's a sympathy vote. Maybe it's just a faith in the archetype. I just think Cameron, you simulate Big Brother 1,000 times, he does go at first a decent chunk of them. But he also, I think, could win in a way where, like, how the hell is Josh winning a Big Brother season?
That's fair. I'm trying to like think in the exact same way that you are and say like, well, what can I point to that I saw from Josh that gives him that I can give him more credit for rather than the idea of what Cameron could have been. And there's a couple things. I mean, I think of like, I think it was Jerry's HOH that I remember being impressed that he wasn't in danger there. And there were just times where I feel like he was a little bit more open and like vulnerable with the people who were looking at him like he was a crazy person in the house and trying to kind of humanize himself with them to, he was a big character on the show and in a lot of moments in the house, but I feel like he did have moments where he tried to get people's guards to come down. And so like that shows me something, obviously not the best player that's going to win this bracket, but like a little bit of something if I'm going to end up choosing him here. Amon, where are you at?
I'm trying to remember if there was anything specific in the episode to why Cameron did not get a bracelet. I think that's the only kind of thing
Paul
that
was scared. Nerd.
That's what I think it was. I think there also might have been something about Cameron actually being one of the more vocal ones about being apprehensive about Paul coming back. And if that's the case, then I'm kind of like, well, that's probably not the best thing to be honest about, but I cannot remember that for certain. So,
and even still, it's like it's day one, I mean, obviously it's an important day one of the most important day ones ever, but.
And how is he to know that he's going to get bracelets to give out? So, I don't know.
I'll vote Josh. I'll let him on.
Come on.
I mean, I feel like I was always going to vote Josh, but I wanted to let Cory's line of thinking push me as much as I could. Yeah. I can't ultimately vote for Cameron despite all of that, just because again, there's enough there with Josh and I'm going to give him some character points over. Unfortunately, we just have no sample size for Cameron and not much else to ever get into. But I would love to have a conversation about like a chaotic player like Josh up against another bad or chaotic player. There's just nothing on Cameron. So,
I think the other thing is like Cameron wasn't nominated by Paul. Paul split the house 8-8. You know what I mean? Like, I think I'd be, I guess, less sympathetic if Paul put up Christmas, Jillian, and Cameron. I'm like, okay, Cameron, you screwed that one up. Like, you had one conversation, you did a terrible job, and now you're on the block. Like,
I think was on that block for like 3 weeks.
Did she make it to week 3?
No. I'm assuming you mean like what felt like 3 weeks, considering she went through so many different cycles of Cody's HOH.
Yeah, like it just, she was just on that block forever. Like she walked in and was nominated. It was like,
and that's why on the very first episode of the Diary Room podcast, you can go back and watch us fumble our way through those matchups. Luckily, we had Cory to keep us a little bit grounded, and Jillian did not make it out of that alive either. But maybe Cameron will, depending on Amon's vote. Big Brother 3,
go
Josh.
ahead and give it to Josh.
Okay.
I thought about it too. I think Cory makes a pretty good argument, but I think Josh is chaotic, but he at least came in and was like, "All right, let's go. Let's Marcellus, let's get him out of here. Come on!" Like it was a lot. It didn't have a lot of tact to it, but it was a game nonetheless. Whereas,
imagine if Josh comes in hot. All right, let's play the game. And then Will comes in with Chilltown bracelets. You're like, oh, shit. Oh, no. That's fair.
All right, so a 2-1 vote will send Josh through the next round and leave Cameron behind. Cory, how do you feel about sending 3 men through to the next round today?
It's powerful. It's really indicative of the new era of Big Brother.
The only woman that was even here with us was Chima, and she did not go through. To recap the day, we just sent Josh from Big Brother 3 to the next round over BB19's first boot, day 1 boot. Cameron Hurd, Kevin Campbell went through to the next round over Chima from the same season. Of course, Kevin, a 2-time player though. And then a BB27 showdown started off the day with Keanu advancing over Riley. So what a weird grouping of matchups. I don't know if it's what you were expecting, Cory, considering the first one we started with such a bang of like Danny versus Haley. Like that really set the precedent for what we were doing here. I feel like this one was a little weirder, but we had fun.
Yeah,
so did we knock out Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think in general, like Big Brother fans love using the word like, oh, they're about an average player, they're above average. The scale of Big Brother players is wildly distorted to bad. Like a vast majority of players are like actively bad. So like,
Yes.
I have to imagine a lot of the matchups are like, okay, who's better, Adria or random person from Celebrity Big Brother 2? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Where like, I think that is almost the beauty of the exercise as opposed to Dan versus Will for the billionth time. You know what I mean? Like these are the matchups that people are on the Patreon for.
Yeah. I mean, I love when someone disagrees with a matchup or if someone's just intrigued by a matchup. Just, any of your input in the comments or Patreon or wherever to let us know that, you were debating it as much as we were, or maybe you were debating it more than we were, is where we're having fun around here. So, yeah, what a crazy group of matchups. Cory, just to pick your brain for 2 seconds here, I was hoping that BB Can players would come up, but from BB Can 5, we have remaining Gary, Ica, and Bruno.
Yeah.
How do you feel about their chances going through?
Weirdly, I'm most intrigued by Bruno. Watching BB Can 5, I think Bruno is like my dream ally. Not because he seems like such an amazing, amicable, fun person to work with all the time, but just like such a self-interested, strategic player who is predictable.
Yes,
And those types
loyal.
of players are very, they're very few and far between in Big Brother history. Like I think he's extremely flawed. Like I'd put Ica over him in a weird way. Like it's very confusing ranking Big Brother players sometimes. But I think Bruno is like just such a weird case of like I see myself in him in the sense of, oh, he's really just like trying to play Big Brother from the lens of someone who's a Big Brother fan.
Yeah. There was a
ahead.
whole setup for him that he was like, why are you guys not doing what makes the most sense for me and for you?
Yeah.
But for me, mostly. Like, yeah.
Ica's going to be weird to rate, though, because I don't understand how... This is one of the things I just wish I was there for the feeds for BB Can 5, because her social game is so fascinating. Like, and I can see how it would be so effective in the sense of she doesn't BS you. Like, you're actually getting real thoughts from her, and when she is BSing you, you know it. So, like, it's just so hard to establish a persona like that. I thought that's what Adrian was trying to do for a second, of like, okay, you know what? Adrian with his loyalty, integrity bullshit, like, he's building to something, and then it built to nothing. Ica, I don't even know if it was very intentional, but I don't think there's another player who's attempted or succeeded doing what Ica did.
I mean, the people that she was able to have on her side and keep on her side as long as possible throughout that game knew that she had them. And even when there were times that she would get doubted by them or by just like anyone in general, all it really took was one conversation and she's able to say, no, like, I'm with you, I got you, and it's no problem. And it's just like, oh, yeah, no, I believe you. Even if you didn't actually, like, you still felt like you believed her. And the back and forth, of course, throughout the entire season. I don't know exactly what you guys are up to right now, but with, the back half of the game is just so much fun, and it definitely got messy plenty of times, especially towards the end game. But it was what a ride. It's truly still one of my favorite seasons.
Yeah.
So
we just watched Netta's eviction, so it's eaten up.
Yeah. Oh,
like,
man.
Could be the best episode of Big Brother. I don't know, and that is from a Netta fan.
Yeah, I think if it was live. But if it was live, they wouldn't have been able to show as much. I don't know. I think it's Pantheon episode at the very least.
It's insane.
I'll never forget when that screenshot or this, like, someone that was in the audience leaked the picture of her in that suit, in that lime green suit, with talking to Arissa outside, and all of Twitter was just like, "No way!" Like,
I don't remember if I had known that or not.
Yeah, she got leaked. It was like a grainy ass picture. You could tell whoever took the photo was like did it in a hurry.
Not supposed to.
It came out. It came out like maybe like 20 minutes before the episode was gonna air, and it was crazy.
Was freaking out because there's no indication whatsoever in the episodes prior that Cindy has any vitriol towards Netta. There's that one little scene of them teasing her, but like
not even in the episode.
Possibility didn't even cross. I think they did show the scene of like everyone walking past Cindy and them being
but that wasn't because of it. That was the weeks prior.
That was
Yeah.
weeks ahead of time, and that was just their way of trying to make it see. That was all Ica. That was all
Insult
Ica
Cindy
getting
corner.
in Cindy's head and be like, no, like this is get her out. Get her out. Like it's Netta, get her out. And
It
The
was
moment that
so
Cindy
fun to
went
just
from
sit
playing
here
a winning
knowing.
game to playing the next out. Just crazy. I love BB Can 5. But unfortunately not today.
You were safe for like an hour.
Any of them. Right now, the players from BB Can 5 that are not in round 2, Cory, are Mark, Dallas, Jackie, and Dylan.
Yeah, I cannot tell you how Dylan's game ends. I forget, so I'm curious because I look, I don't expect him to make it to round 2, but I don't remember him making it this far either. So
Well,
we'll see.
yeah, newbies obviously we're not shining as brightly as the returning players that season. But all right, I think that'll do it for today. So great to have you back here with us, Cory.
Yes.
We will maybe at least have to get you at the start of round 2, where we can guarantee you are still in the competition and hopefully going forward. But what's the plugs? Where can everybody find you and you and America's content, everything you guys are up to these days?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in law school these days, so slow down a little bit, but twitch.tv/Cory Wurtenberger. I'll pop on, talk about Big Brother once or twice a week. Patreon.com/AmeriCory. Right now, we are watching Glee, which y'all might be interested in. We are watching Big Brother Canada 5. By the time this releases, we'll probably be close to the end game. And Luigi's Mansion, we're playing through. We wanted to get in the spooky vibes, and then procrastinated, so now we're doing the spooky November vibes. So if you're interested in that, check it out. Patreon.com.
Nightmare Before
AmeriCory,
Christmas.
basically.
I said to Cory before, everything that's happening on the AmeriCory Patreon is like things that I've been interested in at one point or another throughout my life. So tailor-made for me and hopefully all of you as well. Speaking of Patreon, if you want to check out what we have going on Patreon, it's patreon.com/the diary room. Unfortunately, today the patron votes did not quite work out for everybody, but you got to cast your votes for the players that you want to see make it through to the next round to give them that chance to do so. Because if Kevin hadn't come up, Chima could have been here going into round 2, but we have that. Losers brackets. Cory, you have a thought?
So, just a bit of inside baseball, some behind the scenes. I've been a part of a few of your podcasts, Matt, on some different Patreons, and I've been giving memberships to such Patreons. Can I vote for myself? Can I tack on a vote? Because I know there's probably like some hoops to jump through, but I think that might be worth it depending on the matchup. Actually, here's what you do. When I pop up in round 2, I'll evaluate if I need the vote and if I'm willing to go to those lengths, okay?
All right, we'll revisit the topic, but I feel like the answer might be yes.
Insider trading.
Okay. All right. Look, hey, interesting.
Are you not confident enough that you can win the matchup without the extra vote?
I think your chances are higher than you might think.
I mean, I've heard Cory rate his own game, and he's not that far down on it.
There are a lot of people that are bad.
Did y'all do the math of like how many players there are total?
In the entire bracket, if I am looking at the right number, 564.
Like, I think I'm the 80th best Big Brother US player. So I feel like that the math puts me in like round 3 or 4. But you know how it is. Like, you know, Haley hit Danny round 1. So anything could happen.
Yeah, she got voted back in. Look, if you get eliminated in round 2, you got a pretty good chance of getting voted back in. So I don't know if that means anything to you.
That'll feel like podcaster privilege.
Well, fair enough. Well, we'll see how that all goes. Again, patreon.com/the diary room. In order to get all of our bonus content, everything goes up there ad free. Losers brackets, battle back votes, as we're talking about, which is really the only place you can find him on these days, as he is busy. Unless you got anything else that popped up along the way.
Nope. Like Cory, I am school. So yeah, just
busy boys.
Just here, talking all things diary room. I'm sure I'll be back in your feeds for Drag Race in the next couple of months. I'm surprised that we haven't heard anything yet from RuPaul, but I'm sure that's coming on down the pipe. By the time this podcast comes out, we might have already been announced. So yeah.
I mean, this podcast is recorded a year in advance, so you never know. But that's that. I am, of course, also on the Free Agents podcast, talking all things the challenge and the Amazing Race with Brian Scally. And by the time this comes out, probably very close to, if not wrapping up the season of Dancing with the Stars on RHAP. So definitely make sure you're checking all of that out. Thank you again to Cory for joining us today. And Aman, get us out of here.
Yes, our thanks to the more reality TV successful Wurtenberger. And until
Ooh.
next time, please go to the diary room.